Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, Crown of Glory here. It's Davina here, and today I'm going to be doing the video that you all have been waiting for. I know a lot of you guys, a few of you guys have been wanting me to reveal the reason behind me leaving from my salon. So here we go. If you have been following my channel, at least my other channel, The Venus Faith, then you know that I talk about the miraculous power of the Lord and how he opened up the door for me to be able to have a salon. I opened up the salon in 2020. I was a renter. When I first went, everything was pretty good. It was an as-is lease, and before I signed my lease, I did check it out, and everything seemed to be good. Like, it was the perfect size for me. I knew that that was the place that God had showed me in the dream. So it was ordained by God, but I failed to do my extra research, lean into that extra research and ask every possible question. And since I kept it a secret from people, the people that I would contact and ask questions about, I didn't contact them because I wanted to keep it a secret because I didn't want anybody to discourage me, and I wanted to be a little surprised. But mainly, I didn't want anybody to discourage me, because other circumstances weren't that good, honestly, in my life. And I know it would seem like, oh, I'm in over my head and that it wasn't meant to be because of those things. But God works in mysterious ways, and things are supernatural. So yeah, I would have contacted my mom and also a member of my church that I was attending during that time. She was a previous salon owner and hairstylist. Love her. I definitely would have gotten advice from them first. But I kept it, I didn't tell anybody in this world, nobody, only me and God knew, and the people that I was renting from. So, boom, I signed my lease, pay. I had all the money that I needed to pay and sign the lease. I had to do 3 months up front, but during that time I was making the money, honestly. My credit wasn't good during that time, but I was making the money, and this was during the pandemic too, so I was getting extra money. So I had that and paid. Okay, boom. And then once I had started working, like started to bring clients, and I brought clients in early on too. I wish I would have just waited and just set everything up fully, at least halfway decorated. I had it partially decorated. I had no curtains up. I only had chairs and station and mirror, I think. I think at one point I didn't even have my station yet, so I had the bare minimum when I first started. I was just so excited to have my own place. I was traveling to my clients' houses previous to this, doing that, traveling to their houses. So I was just so excited to have that stationary place that I just let everybody come. And as soon as well, not as soon, like a week after I had signed my lease and I had enough inventory, and if I would do it over, of course, I would definitely just wait it out and have everything fully decorated at least halfway. So like a weekend of me working there, I noticed that the toilet wasn't flushing properly. And come to find out, there was a plumbing issue. So it, like, when I first went there, I don't even remember if I flushed, but the hot water was working. Hot water, cold water was working. It was nice and clean. Didn't see any bugs, insects, or rodents or anything like that. Clean. Paint job was nice. Floor was pretty nice. It did have like one lump, but I was okay with that. Everything seems to be okay. I just knew that I needed to do plumbing to install the sink, and I know I had to pay my own utilities. They mentioned that, so I was okay with that. But early on, I noticed that the toilet wasn't flushing properly, so it flushed once or twice per day. But then after that, it just wouldn't flush. Like, one day, one of my family members had stopped by, when they came into town, and they used the bathroom and they pooped. They did number two, and they flushed the toilet and it wouldn't work. Like, I don't think it overflowed. It did overflow once or twice when I was there, but I think that time it didn't overflow. It just didn't flush. So I'm all thinking, like, what is going on? So I try to do everything on my own. With the as is leaves, however the place is how you accept it. You are in control of fixing everything up yourself. So I thought it was just an easy fix. I thought I just needed to plunge it really good, if that didn't work, then I need to do a snake. So plunge did really good. That didn't work. I'm thinking that I'm not using a good enough plunger. I bought 2 plungers. I'm thinking I'm not using a sturdy enough plunger, or I'm not strong enough. I'm too weak. I tried the hot water trick with the soapy water. That didn't work. Like, that's a old trick I learned from my mom. It always worked for us in our house if the toilet wasn't flushing. I tried the Riddex, that didn't work, and I also tried the snake. I think my great uncle, he stopped by with the snake. Even that didn't work. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? So it came to the point where um, I had to eventually contact the landlords, the renters, and ask them, let them know what was going on. Come to find out, it was a plumbing issue. So they had to, the way the building is set up too, I wouldn't be able to reach it anyway. And if I would have hired somebody on my own, they wouldn't be able to do it because only the renters knew where the problem was coming from. So they did it for me, okay, basically. And people had to go inside the wall through to the area where the plumbing was done. I just don't remember the terms for it. But yeah, they went in, opened the wall in the bathroom, went in and did their business, and then, within the hour it was fixed. But they had to do this twice. Then a little bit later, I'm working and I have a client. I turn on the water in the sink. This was after I already had everything, the plumbing installed. I've probably been in there for maybe a year or close to a year. My lease was for 3 years. And the water wasn't working. So I'm like, okay, why isn't my shampoo bowl working? So I think I might have went to the bathroom and checked it out. It wasn't working. So I'm like, why isn't the water working? So I contacted landlords. I'm like, hey, for some reason the water isn't working. They goes and telling me, eventually I found out that I'm connected to the store next door, the Chinese store, okay, and that I need to get me a hot water heater. So I'm like, oh my god, contact the guy that does the hot water, he like installs everything concerning that, and he gives me a quote or gives me a price for the hot water heater for him to buy it and install it. And it was a very high price, almost $1,000, like literally almost $1,000 ballpark figure, okay. And I'm like, okay, that's too much, man. I can't afford that right now. And it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe a couple $100, 500 at the most. Then one of the other renters, the guy, I don't remember how it happened, but he basically mentions through text that if I can't afford to get the plumbing done for the hot water heater, or I should just try to work out a deal with the Chinese store next door. So that's what I did. And I talked to them and they gave me a quota for weekly. So I just agreed to it. It didn't seem sketchy, it didn't seem too expensive. So I agreed to it. Now, I was overpaying. Like, they said that once everything was said and done, before I left, before God let, like during the time God was leading me to leave, and before I left, they showed me different documents and claimed that, they wasn't charging me too much, but I wasn't even using the hot water too much because I was doing a lot of braids there. I was doing a lot of hair braiding. I didn't mind paying them. Honestly, I saw that they were struggling there. They went half heat during the winter time. I remember my heat had went off during the winter time too, or wasn't working properly. I learned so much from being there though, so am still thankful for that experience, because now if I ever get into one of those jams, I know what to do, and I know the reason behind certain things. It works. I did feel sorry, have a little pity for them too, because I'm a woman of God too, so I want to do the right thing. I want to help others. They were struggling. I could see that they were struggling, and yeah, so I went with the flow and it was okay. It didn't seem too bad. So boom, once a year hits of me being in the place, I ended up being there for almost 3 years, and my lease was for 3 years exactly. I didn't stay the whole lease term. I broke my lease. I did. Once a year hit, that's when I started that agreement with the Chinese store next door. I paid them faithfully every week. If I forgot to pay them on one Saturday, I would pay them the next day that I ended up being at the shop, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. I feel like I got that fixed. Okay, nothing else should be wrong with the shop, right? Wrong. Stay tuned for part 2. It was like, the ground, dirt coming up in that area,